name is Sam, and thanks for checking out this video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button down below, as well as the bell notification, and give the video a thumbs up or thumbs down, whatever works for you. So as always, I wanted to talk about books this week. I'm actually super proud of myself for the amount of books that I got through this week, just because I was driving. I had a 6-day work week instead of a 5-day work week, and I was driving all over the place. So it was kind of crazy and busy, and I couldn't sit and physically read. So I took up my handy dandy audiobooks and worked my way through 5 books this week. The first book that I read this week was a reread for the 4th or 5th time since I got this book about a year ago. It's The Black Witch by Laurie Forrest. I am so excited. This is the book of the month that we're doing for April? Yeah, April in the TBR and Beyond book group. So I'm so excited that I get to talk with other people about it, whether or not they liked it or not. I'm just super curious. This book has so much discussion and topics and talking points around it that I just wanted to reread it and refresh my memory. And I have, as you can tell, I've got lots of things, and I have sticky notes all over my place of things that I want to talk about. So this book follows our main character, Ellerin, who lives in a society which is very segregated in terms of race, and her people that she's a part of are, in power, and there's a big power grab politically going on in this book. But she goes to university, and by her aunt is forced into some not great situations where she confronts all of the prejudices and things that she thought about other people. There's lupines and a million different kinds of fays, and they all are forced to interact at this university and see what, they realize what they've been told and whether or not it may be true or not. And some people are good and some people are bad, and there's romance, and there's so much magic, and I have so many theories about the magic especially. So I'm really excited to talk to other people about this one, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars for sure. And I'm glad I reread it because the novella between book 1 and 2, Light Mage, is coming out July 1st, and then I think September we're getting Iron Flower, which is the second book. So I'm probably going to reread Wandfasted, the novella prequel, and then I'll be ready for that to come out. I'm so excited. Then I picked up A Dash of Trouble. This is the first book in the Love, Sugar, Magic series by Anna Mariano. This is an adorable middle grade. The cover is beautiful as well. So our main character is the youngest daughter in a large Latin American family living in the United States, and her family owns a bakery. And she finds out at the beginning that her family actually has magical powers that are based in sugar and love and sweetness and kindness and all that kind of stuff. And she is not supposed to find out about magic until she's, 15 or 16 years old, so that they think that she'll be, responsible enough with magic. But she finds out early because she's curious, and her sisters, give her little bits of information, and she gets into some trouble with it. And she goes to school and tries to solve problems with magic, and of course, things don't turn out as she had hoped and or planned, and she's trying to, do it, just assumes she can automatically know how to do magic without, practicing or anything like that. It's such a fun, sweet, adorable book. There's some problem solving, obviously, and there's some friendship conflicts in there with her best friends, and yeah, it's just really fun and adorable, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So they give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Then I read Ivy Aberdeen's Letter to the World by Ashley Herring Blake, and I loved it so much that when I was in Edmonton, I went to the bookstore and picked up my own copy. So I'm returning it to the library, and now I have my own copy. And the cover is just beautiful. So the book is actually much more intense than I thought it was going to be based on the cover alone. Our main character, Ivy, is the middle child in a family. She's got 2 younger twin brothers and her mom, and then she's got an older sister. And it starts off with her family's house being destroyed by a tornado. And they go into the shelter under it, they come out, and their entire life is gone. And a lot of people in the town are going through some similar things. So they're just they take shelter at the school for a couple days, and then they go to a hotel. And this girl is very clearly struggling with her sexual orientation throughout this whole thing. It's not that she doesn't have support, she just doesn't exactly know what she aligns with. She's kind of confused a little bit, why hasn't she's never had a boy crush, what's going on? And then in this situation, she meets this girl, and, she kind of confused, do I have a crush on her? I don't exactly know what a crush is supposed to feel like. And then she interacts with the owner of the hotel that they're staying at, who is also actually a lesbian, and she kind of helps her figure things out a little bit. And at the same time, Ivy's journal diary has been, taken by accident, she thinks, when she's at the school under the tornado, when everyone's just kind of there for shelter. And she's frantically trying to find it, and then people start leaving her notes in her locker saying, I have it. not necessarily a blackmail situation, but they definitely want her to talk about what's going on and what's very clearly visible in her journal and the drawings that she has. And I actively cried for the last at least half of the book. It is so hard, and I mean, I am technically a middle child, but I never really went through the situations that she went through. Our family dynamic was just different, but I mean, she feels lost and forgotten, and you can, your heart just like, it hurts for her. Like I said, I would like to adopt this child and protect her from everything bad in the world. She's so sweet, and she's just having such a hard time, and she wants support, but she doesn't want to bug people. And, you know, the people that she wants there to be as a support system are not able to be there. Either, you know, they've had twins, like her mother, they've just lost their home, and their dad, and her sister is struggling with things. And her sister also has a best friend who came out as a lesbian earlier on. And her sister and her stopped talking. So she kind of has a fear that, you know, if that's her, then will her family kind of abandon her. So there's just so much that goes on in this book, and it's so heart-wrenching and I think really important, and the cover is absolutely beautiful, and there is a little bit of a happy ending. It's not all despair and like disappointing and sad, but it's just such a sweet book, and I think it's something that really any kid will be able to relate to. Really highly recommend this book. Gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I'm definitely going to continuously reread this book. It's heart-wrenching, but in like the best way. Then I did a reread of The Wicked Deep by Shay Earnshaw. I actually read the arc of this several months ago, so this is my first time reading the finished copy though, and I absolutely love this book so much. It's been optioned off by Netflix, and I feel like this has a lot of potential. They're obviously going to play around with it just because it's only a standalone, but the concept of it, I'm very here for it. I'm super into seeing if that actually gets adapted and what it's going to look like. And I have the finished US cover, I have an ARC, and then I have the audiobook, and I just got my copy of the UK cover. So it's safe to say I kind of love this book. It's got lots of hocus pocusy vibes, but it's got some contemporary supernatural magic elements going on throughout the whole book. So it is set in Sparrow, Oregon, and you switch back and forth between 1822 and present day. And in 1822, we see the story of these 3 sisters who come to the town of Sparrow, and they're very loose romantically, like for 1822. And for that reason, naturally, people start accusing them of being witches, and within like the span of a year of arriving, they get accused of witchcraft and unfortunately drowned in the local harbor. But their bodies never appear, and ever since that has happened, the 3 sisters who were drowned inhabit the bodies of 3 girls on the land that are alive, and they trick and siren, essentially, boys into the local water, and they drown them. And it's been going on for several centuries now, and that is what follows in the main story that we follow and try and figure out who is exactly who's been embodied and who's doing the killing. And yeah, I absolutely love this book. It's so much fun, and I really thoroughly enjoy it. And 5 out of 5 stars. And I don't even know why, but I love the insta love in this. There is insta love. I normally hate that, but I just love this whole book so much, and it just worked for me. And last but definitely not least was my reread of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I have not read this book in I'd say 10 years, but I just want to double check the publication date. Yeah, probably at least 10 years or so. I remember all these books coming out as a kid, and I remember reading them, but then, like, later on, the movies came out, and I really hadn't read them since. I forgot about how much the Goblet of Fire had been cut down for the movie. Obviously, just because of its size, but basically, like, the entire first third of the book is not in the movie, and they take out some pretty key characters and elements and rewrite it for the film just for the sake of time. But I love this book, like, so much. I think Prisoner of Azkaban is still my favorite, but I really love, and I kind of wish they hadn't taken it out of the film, but the parental role that Sirius has. So this follows Harry Potter and his friend Hermione and Ron back at Hogwarts for their 4th year, where there is a Triwizard Tournament where there's a couple other schools joining them, and one representative from each school is supposed to participate. And they put an age limitation on it, but for some reason Harry is younger than that age limitation, but someone puts his name in and he gets chosen. So there's 4 wizards, and there's lots of back information about Death Eaters and Voldemort and people's past crimes. There's a lot of discussion in here about prejudices that really did not even get remotely even touched upon in the movie. And I really love that aspect of the books, that they are kind of almost distinctly different than the films, but the films are still good, and like, But I love this book so much. I love the role of Sirius Black and how he influences and helps Harry, because that is something that he really does lack. But in in the films at least, and there's just so much going on in the films that you may not notice it, but when you read the books of, like, he really is lacking a parental figure, but he gets Sirius and he gets the Weasleys, and it's just so sweet and adorable. And yeah, so I'm just continuing on my reread of this series. So I've got Goblet of Fire done, and next month I am going to pick up, what is next? The Order of the Phoenix, and I absolutely love that part of this series, with the Order coming in together. Oh, I'm so excited. And yeah, so I mean, like 5 out of 5 stars. It's still like number 2, I think, compared to The Prison of Azkaban, but still like super, super love this book. And I love the conflicts that happen in it, and all the world building and the character development and everything. And yeah, so those are all of the books that I read this week. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of any of these. If you have read them, what you read this week. That'd be always cool to know too. And yeah, so make sure to check the description box down below for links to all these books' Goodreads pages, as well as link to my social media. If you follow me, I will follow you back.